welcome everybody to another episode of the First Mind Podcast. I am your host, Monica Patrice. I've been realizing that I forget to say my name, so I tried to be real intentional today and say who I am so you all know who I am and who's hosting the show. Although I do feel as though I am just a kind of like a tool for you all to introduce you to some really dynamic people. And today's episode is no different. We have Mrs. Honeybee. I am super excited. I know y'all hear me say I'm excited for every episode, but I want to really help you understand why I'm so excited every episode. Um, the way that the universe brings these people into my life who end up being guests on this show is so miraculous. So when I say I'm excited about a guest, I genuinely am excited because something in what they do has resonated deeply with me and my spirit, and I want to share that with my audience. So I really am excited. And Mrs. Honeybee, who I'm going to allow to speak to their own accolades, but I did read the bio and I saw Beyonce is up in there. You got an Ivy Park bio. Like I read up on you. And so I am so honored that you are taking time out of your, day to have this interview with me. Thank you so much. So I just want to
Sure.
tell people who you are, and maybe you can give a little bit of background about Mrs. Honeybee and what you do.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. It is truly an honor and a pleasure. I love doing podcast interviews. I find them to be so enjoyable, and I love talking to people, getting to meet people, and one-on-ones are my favorite. So,
Yes.
I am Mrs. Honeybee of the highest, if anyone wants the whole divinity. And I'm a shamanic high priestess. I am a healer. I am a diviner. I am an oracle. I am a medium, a psychic. I'm an artist. I am a human being, simply. And I am unconditional love incarnate. I love down. I love up, sideways, diagonal, and inside out. I love in all ways I'm able to. I accept people as they are, just as I also accept all of myself. And as we continue the episode, they're going to find out so much more. So I'm thrilled to talk about that as well. So I'll stop there. But I am an individual who utilizes my creative abilities to create in all forms and fashion. So when it comes to even my healing, I'm a creator. I allow myself to work with my clients in a form that allows for them to see, to feel, to smell, to sense the changes that are happening in their beings as we are engaged with one another. I was actually on live earlier today, and I said the difference with me and the way that I heal is that I don't just give you messages or give you information. I literally penetrate the information into the nucleus within your cells. So you are able to not just leave me with information, you leave me pregnant. And so all you got to do is tend to what has been penetrated into your being and allow for yourself to blossom. If you take the information and you apply it to your soul in the way that your soul speaks to you after we're done engaging with one another, you will be delivered in the way that yourself delivers you, because I always redirect people back to themselves. There's nothing that I am able to do for you that you are not able to do for yourself. So I'm only somebody who's here to assist, which is why in my bio you will see as well, I say that I'm an assistant for cellular regeneration, for mental reprogramming, for the nervous system recalibration. I'm an assistant for it. That is all. You are the one who initiates it. You are the one who completes it. You heal yourself, and we just assist over here. That's it. And so I love being support. I've had a lot of people support me along my journey, so I'm so grateful to be able to also do the same for others as well. So yeah.
And I think I'm pregnant just from the introduction. I'm already pregnant, Miss Honeybee. I don't even want to be pregnant, but here I am. What a beautiful testimony. I have so many thoughts just in your introduction. The first question, we may want to explain to listeners what a shamanic high priestess is, because they probably are not familiar with that terminology. I was not familiar with it either. So maybe let's just start with an understanding of why you identify that way and what that is.
Shay. So, shamanic high priestess, I was living in New York City, and I was actually deep in the sleep. And and so in my sleeping state, I am present. I can see what's happening. I can feel what's happening. I experience what's happening. I can change my dream. I can move around. I can wake myself up. There's a lot of times where, well, in the beginning, when this started happening, I realized that I was awake in my dreams because I would say to myself, honey, this isn't real. Honey, this isn't real. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. You're feeling too nervous. You're feeling too nervous. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And so I would literally, like, sometimes it'd be harder to wake myself up, to pull myself out of the dream, depending on how deep I was in it. Because sometimes when I'm dreaming, I'm in multiple rooms. So I'll start in one place and then I'll end up somewhere else and then I'll move through another portal. So it's like I'm traveling when I'm asleep. And so there's times where people would like message me. There's a time period, I would say, sometime between like 2020 and 2022, where I would get like multiple messages a week where people are like, honey, you're in my dreams. You delivered me from this. Like you introduced me to my ancestors. You showed me this person. There were people fighting me in my dream, but they were all family. But then you swooped in and you had wings and then you pulled me out and you said, not here. And so I would be like, oh, that's funny because last night I didn't sleep at all. I kept going in and out of this trance. So that's cool. So I am pretty awake when I'm sleeping. So this one particular evening, it was actually middle of the day. It was like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just taking a nap and all I kept hearing was shaman, 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 shaman. And then like I was slowly coming to my conscious state and my mouth was moving and I was like, shaman, shaman, you're a shaman, you're a shaman. And I was like, open my eyes, looked outside of my window. I was living in Washington Heights. I remember like it was yesterday. And then literally my eyes slowly went back and closed and I just went back to sleep again. And so then when I woke up, I just was like, I'm a shaman. And so I called my mentor, told him what was going on. And he was like, oh, yeah. He was like, I figured you find it out eventually. He's like, because there's only so much that he's able to tell me. All the mentors I've had, they've all either been Ifa priests, they've been Strega witches, which is like, and one of my friends, he's a Strega witch, and was in that lane for about like 25 years. He started when he was about 5 years old. And so when we met when he was about 30, I want to say. And then there's also another empress that I met as well, and she helped train me for a while. So I've been very lucky with another oracle as well came into the mix. So I've had such pleasure of working with beings of different titles. And so my title that came through was shaman, and then it evolved into shamanic high priestess. So to give a deeper insight of what that title is about, the shaman has to do with the way in which I practice. So I deal with everything that is unseen. So I deal with your cellular body, I deal with your nervous system, I deal with your mind, how your conscious mind, your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind. I understand what you're understanding. I understand what you are hearing. I understand what you are feeling and sensing. And so I communicate with individuals in a way that their system naturally communicates to them, which is how I'm able to share information that resonates so deeply as if you're hearing yourself speak to you, because I move myself to the side, let my spirit come in, my higher self, which is just God's source, the creator of what would be known as creation, the creator that just is, that has no title because there's not one that fits, has no time because it exists without, and it created the beings that which would say time exists, and that which is known as just light and sound and vibrations. And so that is what I channel. That's what I connect to. So that's where the high priestess comes from. I connect with what is known as the Most High. And so I allow myself just to be a vessel of unconditional love, and my only responsibility is to trust the information that's coming out of my mouth. So I'm not allowed to think. I am only allowed to be. And so I shift my consciousness, my ego to the side, and I allow my mouth to just flap. And whatever comes out, it's always channeled. So even when I read your questions for this interview, I read them, but I wasn't allowed to prepare. I'm never allowed to prepare even my videos and my content. All I'm allowed to do is just simply be. That's my role. That's my expression. And that started in 2020 when I found out that I had the gift of transmediumship, which is being able to embody a consciousness that has transcended or is incoming. And I'm able to, or has existed. And what that means is I'm able to embody that particular frequency. So let's say, for example, your 4 or 6-year-old self wanted to speak with me, to give you information. I may not be able to articulate with words, because they may not have the words, and we may not be able to connect that way. So my gift of transmediumship will come through, where I'll be able to morph into what their facial expression is, what their body shape is, how they would have felt. I'm able to express the emotions they would have felt by literally embodying the frequency in its wholeness. And so as a shamanic high priestess, I allow myself to go as deep as you're allowing me to in order for you to get the healing that's required, which allows for my sessions to be so powerful in one time. Most of my clients, we don't really have like more than about 4 or 5 personal sessions. And that's just because we dive right in immediately. And most of my clients understand that you have to do the work. You got to do the work when I'm not there. And they all end up doing the work because they understand the transformations that are able to occur, and the transformations that happen are astronomical. So I just continue to speak to your soul. So if I feel you, for example, again, I'm hearing 4 to 6. So 4 to 6 year old, and she's in a room, she's locked in there, and you're like, I just don't have memories from that time period. I can give you those memories back by literally going into where that space is, and then I'll pose some questions to you, and all I'm doing is just creating bridges, returning you back to you. And then from there, you're able to do the work that's necessary to heal yourself.
This is amazing.
Sure.
I want to just take the listeners through the journey up until this point so that I can help anybody who is struggling to believe or understand what Mrs. Honeybee is saying. I'm going to try to normalize and reframe that for you. So we started out 3 episodes ago with my actual therapist. We had a interview podcast with my therapist who I worked with, who's an EMDR trained therapist, PhD, went to school. If you really listen to that episode, Dr. Noel is saying a lot of the same things that Mrs. Honeybee is saying in terms of how EMDR therapy works and how to heal your body. It's just 2 different methodologies. And honestly, I feel like if we were in a different time frame in history, you would go to a shaman. Like that would be a normal thing for you to do, as opposed to going to a therapist. There were no therapists. So you had these people who I consider my therapist to also be touched in a very similar way that Mrs. Honeybee is touched. I consider myself to be touched. We, like Miss Honeybee said, we all have the capacity to tap into our higher self. But we do have people who are further ahead on this journey and have already made that connection, who can help guide our spirit to that point. But I just wanted to say that because I know that for some listeners, these last 2 episodes seem a little out there, maybe to you, if you're not familiar with this kind of practice or this kind of healing. And I just want you to bring it back to, we really are saying the same things. You have to go back and unlock those unconscious memories so that you can move forward in your progression and in your healing and complete your mission. Like it is so important for us to go back and retrieve those repressed memories. I have a Sankofa bird tattooed on my back, and people are always like, what is that?
Sure.
But that is what Sankofa means. It is a depiction of a bird who is walking forward, but the head is looking backward. And the reason for that is because it symbolizes the importance of going back and getting what you need from your past so that you can keep moving forward. So everybody is saying the same thing. No matter what healer I bring on this show, they are all saying the same things. That's what I really want you to take away from that. I'm sorry. I felt, Ms. Honeybee, were you about to say something?
Shay, no, not at all. I'm so grateful that you broke it down in that way. And I do not accept that apology because I love the way that you broke it down. I love the way that you said it. And so I'm so glad that you did, because I feel that it's very important for all of us to understand that we are really all saying the exact same thing. We're just using the language that we have. And the beautiful part about that is it allows for every different person who understands in the way that they do to receive what they need. I think language is as infinite as there are people in consciousness. So at the end of the day, like however you need to receive it, you're going to get it. You'll get it.
While you're on the journey, you'll find that different messages are going to resonate with your spirit differently. And what I was saying to Mrs. Honeybee before we got on the call, follow the light. Follow the light. Like, don't be so inundated in your conditioning that you are resistant to going towards what feels right in your soul. Because if somebody's message is resonating with you and it feels good, like it feels like something they're saying is helping trigger a healing in you, I wouldn't be too invested in what they call themselves. Like, go to the light. Like, wherever the light is, just go to the light and like get what you need. You don't have to become a shaman yourself. You don't have to become inundated in any kind of, spiritual practice, but get what you need and keep moving, like moving towards the light. That's what this is to me. So, thank you so much for your explaining that. And I hope that listeners, you can stay with me and really, take this interview and allow it to just penetrate the parts of you that it needs to penetrate. Like, like allow yourself to like hear what is being said. Don't get so caught up in titles is what I just want to preface this with. So,
That.
okay, you are a shaman. I am loving this, okay, because I feel like I'm gonna get a little free therapy from doing this podcast. So, okay, all right, let's talk about how you approach your coaching practice and what would a potential client expect in a first session with you. I know you said that really people only do 4 sessions, which is amazing to get a person from start to kind of like that less triggering feeling by the 4th session. That is amazing. So talk to me a little bit about what you do in the first session that helps you to get there so fast.
So every session that I have with a client, I approach it with authenticity. So there's no prep time or nothing for me specifically. However, what does happen is I personally have physical human experiences that set me up for success for that session. So whenever I have a client and we're diving deep, we're doing a shamanic or quantum healing session is what I call it. When we're doing a quantum healing session and I'm showing up in my shamanic practice, I will have a physical experience where myself will go and travel, go to different places, talk to different people. I will have dreams. I myself will have a download, but the download is so complete that it is mind, body, and soul. And so by the time I reach the person that I am meant to be having a session with, they're normally having gone through something. So my clients will normally have very tough experiences before they meet with me. By the time they get to me, they've already done the work necessary. And from there, I'll make life make sense. And I'm only able to do that because it's basically like God came down, delivered someone's puzzle to me, and I like puzzles. And so I put the puzzle pieces together and then I laminate it. And then when I get to the person, I'm like, oh, hello, what's going on? And then I feel them and they normally have things to share. And then I show them their puzzle and I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you did the work, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it means. Let's talk about how you're feeling. Let's talk about things that you may not be recognizing. Let's shine a light on the whole picture. And so that's how I'm prepared for my sessions. I allow myself to go through the ringer. So I often feel like I get beat up a lot. And that's just simply because if you're familiar with either, I would say, Lazarus or Babaluaye, or any type of Orisha or deity or entity that normally that would do a healing and take on the sickness. There's also another movie, I believe, as well, where every time this gentleman would heal somebody, the sickness would then fall onto him and then he would birth it out. And so oftentimes with my practice as a shaman, if someone's having a tough time with something, I'll take out the energy and I'll be the conduit through which it'll pass through. And I just pass it on to the creator. So I will take the pain out of you so that way you're able to do what's necessary. I will transmute the energy and then I will deliver it back to you in light. So then you're able to make sense of what's going on. I will then need to go and transfer that energy. So I will go have a cry. I will go have a scream. I will go dance. I will go move. I will go be free. And so my lifestyle is very unique because I lift the heavy weight. Sometimes you need help moving your couch and it just is what it is. And maybe you can't move the whole thing, but I'll move majority of it just to help you out. I'm not going to, take the weight off of you. I'm just going to make it make sense. I'm going to make it easier, more palatable. So that way you can learn your lesson. And this is where the unconditional love comes from. Your creator, our creator, however anyone wants to put it, the creator wants all of us to understand that we are love and there is love here. Nothing that has happened for us on this plane has been to eradicate us, to diminish us, to to degrade us. It's all been to learn. And it's just simply learning. It's just simply expanding. It's just simply being. And so I understand how to take every situation and flip it to the light side. So you can see, yes, there's this, I understand, but then there's also this. And this is how this has assisted this. If you think of a seed, every seed starts off in the dark. It starts off underground, and that's where it grows its roots. And then at some point you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, but really it's just you having grown and you're pushing against the tops of the soil. And once you push through the tops of the soil, then you meet your son. But it's not really the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's you pushing against the boundaries of the world that you knew. And so when you finally allow yourself to sprout and spring out of the ground, you realize, oh my God, I've emerged. There's a new world here. There's light here. Absolutely. But you had to be able to be that spring, that sprout that pushes beyond that ground that has been packed on. So you had such a warm bed to grow root, to ground yourself here. And so with my first sessions with my clients, I don't really have anything that's different than any other session. I approach you every time as if you're anew, because I am being guided to help the version of you that has become. And we change so frequently that we're always becoming. And I help you expand your mind, to expand your eye to see how you are constantly changing and evolving to where you are a conscious participant in your evolution. So you get to be in co-collaboration with your spirit as you are evolving. There are moments where we need to slow down, and it's just because it's a lot, and it can be a lot. So sometimes we will heal and heal and heal and grow and grow. So some people have the capacity to transform in months. Some people have the capacity to transform in a couple of years. Some people it would take them lifetimes. However, sometimes we will say the quicker we could do it, the better. And that's me. And that was a doozy. That hurt really bad.
Yeah.
So I recommend it for not one soul.
Yeah.
I recommend taking your time. However, because I've had that journey and I've done so much in such a short amount of time, I've been on this journey for a little over 10 years now, but I have concentrated my healing in 4 years. And so that has been completely wild. And the amount of trauma I've had to liberate myself from is astronomical. And I didn't really even realize it until I recently spoke to a friend and I told him what was going on. And he's like, honey, I don't think you realize how phenomenal you are. Like, this is insane. And he was like, people go mad going through what you go through. Like, you helped yourself get out of it. Like, no one helped you. Because I had mentors, but every mentor would tell you, like, I just never did what they said. My mentors were all shocked. They were like, oh my God, girl, what the hell? Like, you're doing everything on your own. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's just who I am as a person, I guess, how I'm designed. So all my sessions are authentic. All my sessions require me to feel. Your last guest is Terry. She spoke about being clairsentient, and I too have a gift of clairsentience. And so I feel deeply, I feel first, and I feel very strongly. And so I sense what's happening in your body. So there's no way for me to ever truly have to prepare in a way that allows for me to have a sequence that is either cookie cutter, I will say, or matched to every person. Every session that I do has to be uniquely designed to the version of consciousness that I'm dealing with at that time. And so you show up, I show up, I listen, I feel, I experience, and I express, and I hold nothing back. I am completely transparent. I am completely raw. I'm completely real. And I just deliver the truth as I know it. And so any client that wants to work with me, that first session, I would say to them, expect the truth to come out in its most rawest form. If you're ready for the truth, I got you, boo.
There is
For it is
loaded
truth
with
that I deliver.
It is loaded with so many more curiosities on my end. So back to Miss Terry, and I love that you I don't know if you listened to that episode but I love that you referenced that. One of the things that Miss Terry said that speaks to kind of what you're saying is, because we go through these traumas or this pain, these painful experiences, the experience of that pain is what unlocks our empathy and compassion. And so it sounds like what you're saying is you went through some really traumatic, painful experiences, and you were able to heal yourself through those experiences, which I would imagine unlock the capacity to now be a guide for so many other people. Like that really, like it's like when we talk about the story of Harriet going back and getting the slaves, right? Like she brought them, she freed herself first. She got free first. And then she went back and helped free the others. And it sounds like that's what you're saying. I am curious, Mrs. Honeybee, because I would imagine that in addition to whatever your life's trauma is, when you became aware that you also had these gifts, that there was also kind of like weren't supportive or didn't understand or questioning, which is a trauma in and of itself. So I'm just I want to hear maybe a little bit more about how you were able to free yourself, not just of like your personal trauma story, but also just the trauma of the conditioning that society says we're supposed to heal in one particular way, or we're supposed to be in one particular way, or we're supposed to do things in one particular way. Like, how are you? Because when I watch you, you're so free. Like you can feel like in your, when you speak, when you dance, when you do your content, like you're so free in your body. And like, I just am curious how you got there. Like, how did you? Wanted you, if you don't mind, to take a moment to explain to listeners how you define shadow work, and the importance of actually doing that kind of work. You described the seed
Mm-hmm.
and how the seed starts underground and it's dark and you feel like you have the weight of the world, but it's really, you're just trying to push through. I literally just did a post today because I was so tired. So I described my tiredness. But one of
Mm-hmm.
the quotes that I put up was, be gentle to the wild things clawing through your layers of your person, for soon it will sprout new eyes on your soul. And to
Mm.
me, that's really what you described, right? With the seed, like we're in the dark and we're trying to push up, and it does sometimes feel so weighted. But what you made it sound like, the reframing of, it's not the weight of the world, it's just you trying to push up through to the next level. I love
Yeah.
that explanation. And that's like,
Thank
I
you.
think a good way to kind of start a conversation about what shadow work is.
Absolutely. Shadow work is, there are aspects of ourselves that are repressed, that are suppressed, that are hidden, consciously, unconsciously, known and unknown. And shadow work is I'm going to call it an art. It is the art of diving into one's abyss, diving into the sea of the self, and allowing oneself to unearth what we reject, what we cast out, what we hide, what we neglect. It is the aspects of us that exist, that are true. And a part of my process is shadow play, which is allowing the shadow to express itself. So in my book, Shadow Work Assistance for the Savage, I have a 3-part assignment, and then each assignment has a breakdown. So there's a writing assignment, which is consistent of questions, answering questions, connecting with you on a mental level, a spiritual level, but mainly you're doing it through writing. And then there's the oral assignment where you are having conversation with the shadow specifically. And that mainly incorporates the mirror. And so many are afraid of the mirror, especially looking at oneself. I'll put it to you like this: if there's one thing to cry, it's another thing to cry sitting in front of the mirror watching yourself do it. It's one thing to tell yourself, I love me, and speak affirmations. It's another thing to stand in front of the mirror or sit in front of the mirror and not just speak it to the mirror, but speak it to the person, the being, the energy that's looking back at you in the mirror. So focusing on your eyes, focusing on the center, the core of your eyes, focusing on the soul that is lit behind the eyes, or the emptiness that's there, and speaking into that and receiving it. Then there's shadow play, and that is letting what has been away be now. And that's typically the last part that we dive into. And that's because seeing what you've hidden can sometimes be triggering in itself, that it could almost frighten you to not want to do the work at all. Mm-hmm. And so the art of shadow work is ultimately authentic self-expression, which is why my practice so heavily focuses on the shadow. And that is because my gift to humanity is unconditional love. I love every aspect of myself. I love me so deeply. There ain't shit anybody could tell me about me to make me hate myself. Not ever again. I've done the work to love myself and to love myself complete. And so I have cultivated this life for myself where I put all of me on display, and whatever you come across is what you come across. Whatever you find is true. Yeah, that's it. And it's okay, because I'm complete, I'm whole, and there's no point for me to hide anything. And it is the freedom of not having to hide anything that allows for me to be so liberated. I'm so happy about it. Doesn't always feel good, but I'm free. So to anybody, in short, the most simplest way to put shadow work is the shadow is not evil. The shadow is not negative. The shadow is not to harm. The shadow is not the devil. The shadow is nothing that is going to take you out. That's not the intention of the shadow. If you consider yourself to have a front and a back, the shadow is that back. The shadow keeps you safe often. The you that would listen to your parent scream at you and tell you to shut the fuck up. Stop singing. You're getting on my nerves. You sound like this. That shadow will become a version of you that sings loudly, that sings complete, that sings whole, and they know to just shut the fuck up, because I'm not safe to sing here. I'm not safe to use my voice here. And so when you start to dive into your shadows, you're like, oh, wait, there's a version of you that sings. And you're like, yeah, it's cool. I sing sometimes. Da, da, da. Oh, no. You want to sing. It's not that you want to be an artist or a celebrity or anything like that. Like, you don't need a record deal specifically. Maybe you have these dreams and you're like, I had a dream of being a singer on the stage. No, you want it to be seen. You want it to be felt. You want it to just be yourself, but you probably don't want that specifically. However, playing with your shadow would be, I need you to go sing, but I need you to not sing in the house. I need you to actually go outside, and I need you to sing outside. I need you to go to karaoke. I need you to walk down the street and just sing. I need you to be in the grocery store and sing whatever song's playing in your headphones. I recently did a live, and I spoke to the listeners, and I said, do you ever listen to your headphones down while you're walking outside and you're singing your heart out in your head? And they're like, oh yeah, like I'm having a whole show in my head. Why? Why are you not having that show on the streets? You're outside. There's so much space, and it's why I don't want to interrupt what's happening outside. If you don't want to interrupt what's happening outside, and you don't want to interrupt what's happening in the house, when are you ever going to express that energy? You're not. It's just hidden, and it's always hidden until when? And until you don't have to go pay for a drink to go to a bar, to then go to karaoke, to then get drunk, to then let it out. You can do it right here on the streets. It's free. There's everywhere. You can go to the park, do it at the park. You can go literally anywhere. You don't need anything. You got the voice already. You don't need to sound a certain way, because singing is not how you sound. Singing is just literally the art of singing. It's whatever your voice does when it hums a tune. That's it. And the tune is whatever sounds you make, and whatever sounds you make it. It doesn't have to sound like anything. Just let it out. And so it's like, wait, but no, it has to sound like this. No. That's the ego assuming that because it took someone else's script and started repeating it. But yourself doesn't believe that. If not, you wouldn't be singing in your head, humming it out. Nope, that's what you let out, that right there. And it's like, but wait, no. And it's like, no, I promise you, let that out right now and watch your life change. And so what's happening in here? Let that out. It's quite literally that. So my shadow, when I help you with your shadow work, ultimately that's what we're getting to, you expressing that true, raw, and real. with no expectation.
I am having like these waves of emotions. Like I'm having emotional responses to everything you're saying. And I feel like you probably have this happen all the time. You know what I mean? Like this experience. I want to be clear to the listeners. I don't know Mrs. Honeybee prior to this conversation. Like we've not had any other real formal interactions. Okay. I wanted to be a singer. Like I was in a singing group, Mrs. Honeybee.
Oh wow.
And we were doing talent shows, and I remember
You say
I'm remembering being told like you're not going to be a singer, like stop. And I remember that really vividly, not because like you said I wanted to necessarily become a singer, but I think that there was and always has been a part of me that knew at a very young age that that I was special. Like that I like there's no really other way to put it. So I had a caretaker who I think maybe could have had an experience where they also recognized that they were special, and the way that that was dealt with was to minimize it. Like I think that, you know, in some ways I think of it as a residual trauma from the experience of coming here, right? Like you couldn't be too loud, you couldn't be too proud. Like sometimes in some spaces that could have got you killed, right? So I feel like my caretaker perhaps was definitely raised by people. My grandmother is still living. She's 105 years old. Like, so she raised by somebody who probably to survive life needed to minimize their gifts, right? And so the way that my caretaker then, you know, learned to help me navigate life was to say, you can't be a singer. Like, don't get your hopes up too high. Don't try to be too proud. Don't try to be too loud. Don't try to be too much of you, because that can get you killed, right? So I'm just making this up as I go because that helps me to make some sort of sense of like why these messages were given to me as a child. So yeah, like we don't know each other, but you are speaking to my heart. You are speaking to some of my trauma. And then what also is making me emotional is what a life. Like what a life to be free.
it's
You like
amazing.
what like you know, like, and I see it. That's what I was starting to say before we lost connection is I see it in your content. I see it like you show up as your authentic self in every way, like in your body, the way you dance, the way you dress, like it's so in you. And I am, you know, drawn to that, and I'm curious, like, and I think you kind of said like how you got to this space, but how do you sustain it? Because I feel like the world is constantly trying to put us back in our place, right? So how do you have the wherewithal really to withstand like that pressure to minimize your gifts and your energy and just, you know, show up as yourself?
Okay. This answer feels like it's going to be full, so I'll preface it with that disclaimer.
Oh,
My upbringing consisted of heavy suppression. And so I couldn't be too black because I was born and raised in South Central LA. So it was gangbangers. It was in the 90s. So it was a lot of gang banging. So don't be out here being too hood, because you're gonna have to this is not the type of hood you want to be hood in unless you really want to go there. And my family goes there. And so my mother knew in the beginning that I naturally didn't go there. I was very sweet, very bubbly, very soft. And my hardness didn't come out unless people weren't paying attention. So my mother said I started walking at 6 months. She said you walked for like a day and then you just started running. And we were like, oh my God, what's happening? And then she said you wouldn't sit still from there. And then she said I was like talking by like 7 months to a year. Like I was already like talking, like saying words. My grandmother said by 2, I was already teaching people. Like she said we would go to parties and I would bring books and teach everybody what I was learning. And she said the adults would ask her, how does he know so much? Like he's too little. And she's like, I don't know. We just let him read. He just reads. So I was very like Matilda as a kid. And so my mom even got frustrated with my school at one point because they couldn't control me. And it was like, okay, skip him the first grade, skip him the second grade, skip him the third grade. And she's like, no, this is not going to happen. So I ended up like just staying, I believe, one of those grades, they like solidified, okay, we'll just skip him one. But it was because they said I would become disruptive. I wouldn't have work. So she's like, give him something. She's like, I can't have him be 10 years old in high school. That's just not going to work. And again, it's the 90s. So my mom's had me at 19 as well. So she's like, this is a lot for her. Or I'm sure it would be a lot for any 19-year-old, 19, 20, 21, dealing with your child.
What made you say 19 as well?
It just came in my head. It was just there.
I had my first child at 19.
Oh, okay. Ashe. Oh, wow. Okay. Great. I told you, I just say what's supposed to be said. That's it. Every time I open my mouth, I only speak what needs to be said. If I don't have to say anything, I'm quiet. Cause I would rather just dance or giggle or eat, to be honest. And so my mom had me at 19 and it was the 90s, 1991. And she got pregnant at 18. And then my dad also was an immigrant who was illegal. So it was very uncomfortable, a lot of things happening. When it comes to my upbringing, my mother she was pregnant with me at Rodney King riots, I believe she said. And so I was like, wow, that's a lot, Mom. That's a lot going on. So my childhood consisted of a lot of suppression. I was very intuitive. So I'm asking questions. I am yelling at classrooms. This is why you guys are all stupid, because no one's paying attention. No one's doing this. She's trying to teach and da-da-da. And they're like, ooh, you can't talk like that. Not here. And I was a little one I was very tiny and petite. And I would just be like, but they're not paying attention. No one's learning anything. We're supposed to be learning this. This is the assignment. This is how we're supposed to do this. Da, da, da. I would ask questions. I remember being like 3-4 years old. And I'm like, Mom, why are they hungry outside? And she's like, well, because they made some choices. Da, da, da. I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. We just bought all this food. Why don't we give them food? Well, because we need to eat it. I said, we're not going to eat it all in one day. That doesn't make sense. So like, what's going on? Well, why are all these people eating all these food, but they're still outside? I said, Mom, this is not making any sense. Like, there shouldn't be people just sitting outside hungry. So I would often wonder, just ask questions. I was always seeking the truth. So it was always like, shh, please just be quiet. When my mother, she always worked in a hospital. And so I would go to work with her a lot. And I would wait for her to leave the desk. When she'd leave the desk, I'd leave the desk too. And I would go roam around the halls and find different, not patrons, what are they called? Hospital patients. And I would just sit with them. And I would just talk and ask questions, and they would be like, Pam, can he stay? We just asked so many great questions. He's so smart. And I would just learn. My grandfather, he did 2 wars, and I would just learn from him, talk to him. My grandmother raised me as well. My other grandmother, she was around. So I was always around older individuals, and we would just have conversations, or I would just watch. When I watched TV, I would just listen, and I would watch things over and over again on repetition, and I would just pick up information. I was just like a computer. I just wanted to absorb information. And so the way that I'm able to sustain this freedom of expression is because I have been so suppressed in do not be girly, do not be too gay, do not be too black, do not be too smart, do not wear those colors together, do not wear all that one color, do not wear, and I began to become like this, very buzzy, and very angry. So I was about 3 years old when I ripped out my ducktail. I just was upset, and I just pulled out the whole ducktail and threw it on the floor, and I walked away. And that was the first time my parents were like, I think we might have a one on our hands. My mother said that was the only thing that scared her about me. She said, I got over the fact very early that you were going to be your own person because you would just run. You started walking and running early. She goes, but what scared me was it took no time for you to become red. She was like, that's all I could see. It's just red. And one of my best friends, he even told me one time, he was like, something happened. He was like, and honey, your eyes just went black. He was like, I had no clue who you were. But I remember I'm very protective. And so my first rage moment was when I was 3. And then I was about 7 years old when one of my cousins, he was just bullying me, and family party, I threw a knife at him, landed in the wall. And I was like, you lucky I missed. Next time I won't. Watch yourself. Then I was about 12 when I pulled a knife on another cousin, on an uncle actually, because he just pushed me. And I just kept hearing the phrase in my head for a while, move, little nigga. And that phrase alone, the N-word, would just usher up a rage in me where I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill someone. So my mother would have talkings with me like, honey, you have to do something with your rage. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but you're gonna end up in jail. Like, this is bad. I was about like 20, I was like 24, 25 when like I woke up one day just from my own birthday party and my knuckles were open, like to the bone. And I was like, ooh, what did I do? And my best friends were like, honey, like, how are you feeling today? And I was like, I'm very curious because I could feel the energy in the house, and I lived with 6 people at the time. I was doing a contract, and I was like, what did I do? Because I'm feeling like folks are scared of me right now. And they were just like, you snapped last night. Like, you found out that the guy you're talking to, was doing this, and there was lying happening. He was like, and you just started beating the wall because we wouldn't let you fight him. And you were like, but you wouldn't hit us. So when I was a kid, I would often get angry and I would hurt myself, but I wouldn't hurt people. And my mother would always ask me, why are you hurting yourself? Why are you hurting yourself? It wasn't until I got older in this stage of myself where I was able to say, oh, the reason why I hurt myself as a kid is because I knew that to hurt you would just hurt me anyway because I loved you all. So I didn't want to harm you. I knew that there was something behind you. Like, why were you so, I didn't have answers as to why my family was so mean, why they were so unkind, why they were so hurtful, why they were so abusive, why they were so vindictive, why there was so much anger, why there was so much rage. And it wasn't until I was about this was like 2021 where I was doing a reading for one of my cousins, and my baby cousin was there. He's 2 years old. He was 2 at the time. And I'm doing a reading for my cousin. It was my first time reading for her. And my cousin came to sit in my lap. So I'm just holding him as I'm doing the reading. And she's, saying, baby, don't touch the cards. I said, oh, no, he's helping me. I know what's happening. It's okay. And so there was a moment where he just started snapping and he just went berserk. And she's like, baby, chill. I was like, cousin, stop it. I know you're his mother, but you got to stop. And I was like, he's letting out the rage that you won't. She goes, wait, what are you talking about? I said, and I let my cousin know the truth about what she was going through emotionally. And she started breaking down emotionally. And I said, you won't let out your rage. You won't let out you're vengeful right now, but you're not that person, but that spirit is there. You need to let out the emotion of fury, and you won't. And and I get it because you're afraid you won't come back from it. I know, but you have to let it out. Do what you need to do, but it has to come out. And so this is my forte. I know how to let out I know how to let out fury. I know how to let out rage. I know how to let out vitriol. I know how to let out irritation and anger and frustration and bitterness and jealousy. I know how to get it out of the body and how to express it without directing it towards anyone. And so this I had to do on my own. And I was like, if anyone was to see my actual healing process of what I go through when I transmute these energies, they would never do shadow work. They would say, oh, hell no, this shit is crazy. But it's because if you want to be free, and this is how I know it, if you want to be free, you have to let you be, even the parts you are disgusted by. And so I go there all the way. And this is why a lot of healing that happens with shamans occur in the middle of the forest in Peru, happens, in the Amazon somewhere, happens where ain't nobody else at. Because to hear someone scream bloody murder, but ain't nothing happening other than that person just needing to release, can scare a whole city where they're wanting to call the cops. But it's like, no, babe, I'm just releasing. I'm actually good. I'm actually just being a person. And so because I have been so suppressed and I was able to feel what it was like to be so angry and so mean, and how scared people were when I would go there, I said I would never be held back again. And the moment that I got a taste of what it felt like for me to be free, I broke and I said, oh, no one will ever cage me again. And I'm sure they would never want to, because I don't think they would want to try to see what happens if they do. And so I am myself wholeheartedly because I have experienced personally what it feels like to be authentically myself and to realize that in the world of my own, I'm actually received authentically as myself. In my mother's world, in my father's world, I am not completely accepted as I am authentically. When we're born, who teaches us? Our parents, our guardians, our caretakers. So we technically end up living the realm that is our parents' trauma. And until you get into a space where you say, Mom and Dad, I got to go do my own thing, toodles, you're going to continue to live a world that's of your parents' limitations. And that is because you're just repeating their script. So you end up learning how to become the version of them that does what they won't do in their own world, but your limitations are whatever their world is. And so unless you alleviate yourself from that reality, you will only think that life can be this. And so I went through the journey of, I'm going to get rid of all you guys and everybody, and I'm going to leave and not tell you guys where I'm going, so you can't come save me even if I needed you. Only way you could is if I call out to you for a lifeline, and I don't want to, and I will only listen to my spirit. And so I had those experiences, and that's what my spirit guided me to go do. And through those experiences, I was liberated because I returned to me, where I got to experience what my own inner reality is. And what I discovered was, in my own lane, in my own world that I create, I'm able to be me authentically, and I'm received 99.9% of the time. So my mother had challenges receiving me authentically because she was a 19-year-old woman who was Black in South Central, who needed to keep her child safe, who was peculiar, as they called me, very different. She never really she would call me, like, she would just say, you're peculiar. You were a very peculiar child. We just didn't really know what was happening. I'm different than everyone in my family. And so me choosing to live this lane of honeybee, I'm received all the time with so much love. So now I know I must do things my way, which is why I didn't like being controlled as a child and was so angry, because I knew what I wanted to do. I knew, and I was always told, you think you know everything. You don't know everything. And I'm like, well, y'all know nothing. So I'm confused. I would say, you say you know this, but you don't do that. You say you believe in this God, but why don't you show faith? You say that you read the Bible, but you're not following the scriptures. But this, and I would always imagine, like, well, where's your answer? Your answers don't line up to what you're saying, babe. And I'm like, so you're telling me to listen to you, but you're not listening to you. So I can't follow you guys because you're not making any sense, and I don't want y'all to be my teachers. And so I'm going to listen to me, and I'll let you know what I find out. And so I went on this journey where I learned everyone that was telling me what I couldn't do. I was like, oh, you guys all lied. You lied, because I could go do whatever I wanted. I was like, you told me that I needed money. No, I don't. When I'm hungry, I just say, can you buy me this? And someone buys it, and I get the food. If I'm hungry, I go somewhere and I say, hey, I know you're going to throw this food out at the end of the night. What do you have available? Can you give me something? Can you give me anything? Okay, great. Thanks. I got food. I was like, so I discovered that what you told me I couldn't do, I actually can. Maybe you can't. Maybe you don't want to. But, like, I'm okay telling someone, hey, can you buy this for me? I'm hungry. Hey, can I have some of yours? Hey, can I do this? Because if I need it, I need it. I'm not a beggar. I'm someone who's fulfilling my needs. Maybe you see me as a beggar, but I see me as someone who's fulfilling my needs in the way that is the most effortless for me, and in the way that gets me the needs met immediately, because I care about myself. If I didn't care about myself, I would go force myself to go do this and do this and do that, go take 17 steps when all I had to do was do this. And then now I got the energy that I need to actually go do those things, but I wouldn't have had the energy if I tried to force myself to do it this way. I'd have been stressed. I'd have been stressed out. So I'm like, I'm doing things my way because my way makes sense for me. So that's why in my practice, I teach everyone so much about loving themselves through dealing with the shadow. So that way they then are able to create the life of authenticity that they want for themselves. So they're not doing what Honeybee does. They're doing what themselves does. So, because I want us to know that we are accepted already as we are, as ourselves. There's nothing you need to change technically. You wake up as yourself, but you put on what's not you, and then you end up doing work to become you. And so it's like, let's go back. Wake up again and be yourself, and then stay there. Don't put on nothing else. When you wake up, what you feel, that's it. So when you wake up and you're like, I just don't want to do this today, I'm not in the mood. Don't do it. But I have to. No, you don't. But what if they fired me? Let them. But what about this? Let it. But wait a minute. Do you have faith or do you not? So that's the one rule I have. You must have faith. You won't be able to do anything with me and my practice and get to where you got to get to if you don't have faith. You got to have faith. And that's where people are like, oh, shit, facing the truth and having faith. If you don't have faith, trust me, we'll get you there. If you don't want to face it, if you're scared to face the truth, oh, I'll hold your hand. But you're going to face truth regardless, though. So, in short, and thank you for letting me be long-winded. In short, it is, I know what it feels like to be free. And I will never go back because that's too painful. I have grown my wings. I have spread my wings. And to try to force me back into a box that doesn't fit, you will have to literally saw off parts of me. And good luck.
I mean, I'm not even allowing for long-windedness. Like, every time you speak, I am again pregnant. Like, so I don't know. Like, I'm gonna let you talk because it's so. I'm learning so much.
Can I share something with you?
Yeah, please.
I'm hearing you're already free. There is no one on this planet, and someone else needs to hear this. You're already free. There's actually no one on this planet who can cage you. You're the one who's swinging the keys around your finger, and you're taunting yourself saying, come out. I won't harm you. And because the version of yourself that you're looking at is a version of you that someone else has judged, criticized, ridiculed, and physically beaten, yourself won't come out the cage because you don't see yourself. You see who's harmed you. And there's too many people on that list that has harmed you that you have not, even in your healing journey, attacked back. And so to come out of the cage means I'm going to take these people out. But the thing is, you actually won't. Because if you would have done it already. However, you didn't because you love. You have no desire to harm anyone. And that's what I want everyone to take from this episode, if anything. You love so deeply, regardless of how evil you are, that you actually don't want anyone to hurt. People who hurt people are only hurting people because they're scared of getting hurt next. And they're afraid that if they get hurt again, that will be the end of them. Everything is really unconditional love. It just looks different. And so yourself is ready to come out of your own cage because the door is not even locked. It's open. What holds you back is the faith that you have in yourself to be who you know that you are. And what's occurring is yourself is shaking when at the thought of stepping through the gate. And what you would need to do is scream as you are stepping through the gate. Scream and step through anyway. What most of us have trouble accepting is death. And not physical death, but complete eradication of the self. That is imprisonment. The prison system has a lot of us trapped, especially folks that are indigenous, Black and brown. We have been instilled to fear imprisonment. So much so that we have forgotten that we have been imprisoned in the mind. And so we're so afraid of going to jail and never having any type of freedom that we won't come out of our mental jail because we don't want to go to physical jail. Well, ironically, physical jail will be a much better place than mental jail. In physical jail, you can create an uproar and they're going to want to take you out because at that point, you got to go. You're causing too much shit up in here. And so then if they put you, let's say, in a hole, for example, and you still don't go mad, then they're like, we don't know what the fuck to do with this person. Let's say they take you out physically. All you do is return back to your eternal self. So it's really giving, come out of the mental prison, because once you come out of the mental prison, can't shit hold you from there.
Woo.
And so the mental prison is so traumatizing because you are now viewing your world as unsafe. So you must learn how to be safe in your body, in your mind, in your heart. In order to be safe there, you must reprogram your mind. You must be willing to dive in, face your shadows, face your fears, and scream out, I am safe. I am safe. And this requires repetition because the mind that has you trapped is the ego. And the ego only believes through repetition. The ego will get hit. You will get hit in the physical body and you will say, ouch. Someone will hit you again. Ouch. You get hit again. Oh my God, this is excruciating. What's happening? And your initial response isn't to attack. Your initial response is shock. What the hell is going on? I love me so much. Why am I experiencing this pain? And it's not until you have been hurt so much that now the sadness you feel from the hurt you're experiencing becomes anger. And then it becomes rage. Now you're retaliating because I feel like you're about to end me. And that won't happen because I love myself. And so when you get to the place where you have parents that say, hit me, I wish you would. And you don't come back at your parents who are abusing you physically, mentally, in all these ways in which now you're so afraid of them. You're not scared of you, really. You're scared of what the repercussions would be if you broke the rules and the laws of your parents. And then the layer on top of that, your governments and this. So you must be willing to say, I will go to prison. I will fight my mother. I will fight my father. I will fight everybody on this planet. I will let you guys take me out. I will let you burn me at the stake. I'll let you lethal inject me. I'll let you do whatever you need to do. But guess what I won't do? I won't be caged. So when you take me out, know that you'll take out a free one. And I won't be returning to this land anyway because goodbye, good riddance. I've done what I needed to do. I was authentically me, but I won't be caged though. So do what you have to do and I will too. But I will be free. Guaranteed. Because you're not in my head.
So much. Yeah. Thank you for that message. I do believe that at this juncture, I am, number one, very well aware that any limitations in my life are a direct result of me. Like I already know, like I already have the understanding of who I am, how high I am, like the abundance of wealth, life, people. Like it's all there, right?
Yeah.
You are very correct when you say there is a block within me. Like it is so clear to me, Miss Honeybee, that I am the only person that is blocking me from getting to where I'm supposed to be. And because I have that clarity, there's so much power. Like there's so much power in just knowing that this is all up to me, right? This is all up to me. So that was a good message. That is a message that rings very true in my life. I want to make sure I'm being authentic when I say this. I don't really have a desire to take people out. Like I just don't.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, like I don't even have the energy. Like I don't, like whatever you want to do, like do that. But you're right. Like what you do cannot cage or minimize me. Like I'm just no longer in that space, Like, so yes, it's almost like when you tell your mama jokes, like I can say your mama jokes about my mama, but you can't talk about my mama. Like, so like I know, like I am the person who is beating myself up, who is saying all, like I it is very clear to me, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I've at least gotten myself to a place where I recognize that I have wings, right? I'm still figuring out to trust the wings, like what I'm supposed to be doing with the wings. Like that's still part of my journey and part of my process. But I definitely am fully aware that the wings are there. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to fly. I very much feel that way. So these things that you're saying resonate, and they're also helpful. I'm going to take a walk after this podcast because my spirit's going to need it. And I'm going to be in nature, and I'm going to say to myself, I am free. I'm going to repeat that over and over again, like you just prescribed, because I do think there is some sort of block. Like there is. So, but I'm also okay to be blocked. This is a lot of work. Like this is a process. When you said, people, it may not be as fun to hang out with you as people think. I feel the same way about myself. I'm a lot of fun. I am a lot of fun. I'm funny, but I'm also like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what are we doing? Like, what is,
like, so what crazy.
Is this, like, what is this existence? Like, why? Like, what is, so yeah, I've from a young age, I question everything too. So Yeah. Oh, this is probably like my most emotional podcast interview, and I don't even know if you understand. Like, I don't know if other people or listeners are receiving or understanding like the emotions that I'm going through, but like I am going through some emotions here. So, I'm trying to push through. I'm being authentic, but I'm also wanting to, get to the next question, or else we're going to be on this call all day. So one of the things that resonated with me, and I think also is in alignment with what we're talking about getting free, right? One of the videos that really drew me to you was the video where you talked about getting up out the hospital. And
Mhm.
so for listeners who are not familiar with Miss Honeybee's content, I do highly encourage you to go check it out, because there's just always a word. If you are listening to this and you feel like just in the vibration and the frequency of the words that are being spoken to you now, like go connect, because you will get, every time you stop by that page, you will get something. Like that's how I feel. But in this
Appreciate
particular, in this particular video, you specifically spoke to the experience I think that I'm having and maybe many other people are having, in that we've done a lot of healing work. We've gone to therapy, we've done trauma work, we've done, processing of our shadow to some extent. We know we have wings. We know we are meant to fly. We know we are supposed to be, like spreading our gifts amongst the world and helping change the world. We know all these things, but we are stuck. We're stuck. For me, when you said that, I think I was already starting to have a download and messages about, Monica, you've done this work. Like, at least go outside and see if you like apply it. Like, apply the work and see if it works. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Have the
and
audacity.
I just, there's certain areas, probably the areas that are most detrimental to me leveling up, where
Hmm.
I am like, no, the hospital bed is safe. Like, it is safe in this, like, with these sick people. Like, like I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, we can sit here and we could talk. I could talk to my hospital bed mate about how we were sick, and like we could ruminate on like our sickness. Like, I don't want to go outside.
My God.
So when you said in that video, like, and when you were talking about like the rage and how when you were younger that was inward, like that was pointed inward. You
Hmm.
also, you didn't even have to tell me where you grew up or anything about your experience for me to know that there is a part of you that is going to give it to somebody. Because when you read yourself, you give it to yourself. Like, you give a
Hmm.
real true. Yeah, so like I was watching you give this reading, share this information, and you're really talking to yourself, but like it is resonating with my own story and things that I need to say to myself as well. So what you said in that video was, sometimes, well, at least I'm going to paraphrase what I got out of it. Sometimes we become so committed to this healing journey and to this work. For me, a lot of it was undoing codependency, but I do
Hmm.
feel like there was a part of the journey where I became codependent on the healing, if you will. Like
Hmm.
I like I
Hmm.
like I literally was like, every conversation needed to be about healing. I couldn't go on a date if we wasn't going to talk about some healing. Like, everything was about, like, I
Hmm.
was so in this healing, and what I understood about it was, it was heavy, it was hard. There's not a whole lot of capacity for joy when you're doing this heavy work. So I was living this like joyless life of healing. I was healing myself, right? But I was in the hospital. Like, it's not a happy place. It's not happy to be in a hospital bed, right? Like, there's not,
Hmm.
I mean, there's moments, right? But it's not where you don't think like on a Friday night, like, let me go hang out at the hospital. Like, that's not what you want to do. So when you said it's time to get up, like, it's time to pack it up. Like, you've already done, this is done. Like, this part of the journey is done. Like, it's time to go experiment with your healing and what you've learned and take it to the next level. I don't know. That is the video that resonated so deeply in my soul, and that is what immediately made me jump in your DM. I know people jump in DMs for a lot of different reasons, but mine are usually for healing. So like, I jumped in your DM and I'm like, would you be willing to come on a podcast and talk to people about becoming so inundated in this healing journey that you kind of lose yourself? Like you get so, stuck in that, like, I have to heal, I have to heal, I have all this work, I gotta go, I gotta be in the shadows and the shadows and the shadow. And like you just get stuck there. Like you just
Hmm.
get stuck a little bit. Like, so that to me is what you were saying. And I did want listeners to have an opportunity for you to kind of hear, I mean, for them to hear you repeat that message, and
Hmm.
maybe, elaborate in terms of what you meant by that.
So that particular video, I remember I was born with chronic eczema, and it when I was born with it, it was everywhere. Cheeks, private parts, scalp, feet, everywhere. And I was about 3 years old when my grandmother on my dad's side introduced my mom to Dr. Sabi, and he became my doctor for a little bit. And so he was able to do quite a bit of healing on me, but it was still it was like subsiding the symptoms, but there was still so much more that was underneath it. And so through the healing myself right now, through this healing process with myself, I learned that what was underneath that was emotions. So I needed to deal with processing the emotions, but my 3-year-old self was not going to be doing that. And so I needed to have the lifetime that I had, and now I'm able to work through these things and blah blah blah. Now, I had gotten to a space where, because it was like a couple months ago, I think, when I made that video, where I was taking a shower and I was like scrubbing my skin hard just to like get off whatever dead skin was there, because I wanted my skin to be as smooth as possible. And I noticed that sometimes I can get it really smooth if I like really went at it. And I'd put on moisturizer, my skin was feeling all soft and supple and things, and I had just got off live and I was feeling good, and then my ancestor said, "We got something to say." And I was like, "Okay, let's see." And all I heard was, "Your ass will sit there and scrub your skin to death, just so that way you could be soft and cleaned and pristine. You scratched yourself purple and blue. Yourself is so raw, you look like a crab out of its shell. And the reason why is because you're wanting to heal yourself perfect as if you've never went through anything before. You had an experience. You needed to go through surgery. There are scars and there are wounds that need to heal. But your scars at this point are closed. Your sutures have come out. And now you got to just allow yourself to deal with what it looks like to be scarred. And let the body do what it needs to do. Get your ass up and go live. Get your ass up and go outside. Go experience life. Yeah, you look different. Yeah, you look wounded. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to love you. You've lived life. You want to look like a fresh baby, clean and pristine. That's not how you look when you came out the womb, boo. So sorry about it. You never looked how you thought you were going to get yourself to looking. No, doesn't happen. Sorry, girl. Are you done now? So we can. And myself started. I was like, oh my God, this sounds really like, bitch, why are y'all eating me up like this? They said, because it's time for you to get out of the hospital and stop healing and healing and healing. There's nothing else to heal, boo, which is why you keep cutting yourself again, just to give yourself something to re-heal. This food ain't that good in this hospital, babe. It's time for you to get the fuck out there and go live your life and stop being so scared that people are going to treat you how you were treated prior to you needing to do the healing work in the first place. You have to accept this version of you that has come out of all of this trauma. You have to realize that this version of you that has healed, that has gone through all of these surgeries, you have to go give them an opportunity to be loved, because you're not enough to do it. If you were enough, you would have never came here to a land of people, a land of reflections, a land of this and that and difference and diversity. You would have went somewhere where everyone was the same. You don't live there anymore. You remember that life because you come from oneness. But you're here where there is difference, where everyone is uniquely designed. So go experience unique designs of yourself. Go out there and go give yourself an opportunity to actually do what the real healing is, which is, I've returned back to me, and I'm going to go put myself in predicaments where I'm possibly going to be triggered again, and I might be hurt again, and I might have to end back up in this hospital again. But I've been in this hospital for so long, I think that I'm perfect. So I think that if I go out there and be unclean, then I'm fucked, and oh my God, it's going to be the end. No, you just also traumatized yourself to believe that if you feel hurt again, that it's going to hurt as much as it hurt when you started your healing. Hurt didn't hurt that bad, babe. It was the fact that you took blows repeatedly in the same spaces that got the wounds to be as deep as they were for it to hurt as intensely as you remember it. So you just remember hurt being as intense as it is because there's been a buildup of it. So now that you've let go of the hurt, allegedly, have you? If so, then go have experiences where you just go be a person. And if something happens, it happens, but you're old enough now and grown enough now and mature enough now and powerful enough now and boundaried up enough now that you know how to say, oh, wait, ouch, that hurts. Don't continue. You're not a child anymore that says, ooh, this hurts, and someone's not listening and they're still pressing you. And now you're just quiet, hurting in silence. Go get up and just be ready to say, ouch, that hurts. Don't do that. Don't like it. Don't. And I'm like, oh, so that's what the message was. It was stop hurting yourself again and again and again just so you could stay in this hospital. You got to go heal. And so what I ended up taking from that was, ouch, we read down. And then 2, it was, oh, I'm safe to go be. I'm safe to go. With me, the thing that I've been working through is I want to experience what it's like to have romantic, intimate love again. I have been single since 2013 and I have been celibate since 2020. And so I'm like, I would like to go back out there again, but my body has gone through so much transformation and I'm like, ooh, I'm nervous. People aren't going to want to experience me right now with me healing, with my body transforming. And I don't know. And myself's like, go find out. You won't know unless you go put yourself out there. So go find out. So go where you know you love to be naked. So go wear clothes that show your skin, that shows your body, that shows all these things. You live in a city where it's sunny all the goddamn time. Go let people see you and go experience what life is like in this new body. And that body's going to change and transform. And I end up realizing that not many people judge my body as much as I judge my body. And I think that I also am so peculiar that like when people see me, I often look very unique to even the spaces that I'm in, where it's like, I haven't even gotten to your body yet, girl, because I'm just looking at the other things and I'm like, damn, like what the fuck is going on? And so I'm now just showing up and just saying, this is what my body is. This is what my face is. This is what my skin is. This is what my hair is. This is what my nails are. This is what my hands are. This is me. And then there's also a personality behind it too. So I'm like, I'm just going to go take the chance at rejection. I'm going to go take the chance at also being loved. And I'm just going to choose to say that if I am truly creating my reality, what do I want to experience? And then I'm going to leave it at that and just try. And so I take it one step at a time. I'm gentle with myself and I allow myself to just get up. I choose to get up every day because the only other option is staying in the hospital and there's no sun in there and it's not as fun. And I thought that I didn't want to leave the hospital either until I realized that there were people, there was more than one person. And that was inspiring enough for me to say, well, if there's more than one, then how many are there that actually do accept me as I am? There's too many people right now who support me and my authenticity and say, honey, I don't give a fuck about your skin. Honey, I don't care about that. You're a really beautiful person. Like a friend of mine just said to me like 3 days ago, he's also my barber. He was just staring at me. He goes, honey, you're a really beautiful person. And I was like, oh, thanks, boo. And it wasn't like on no flirtation stuff. Like, homie got a man and everything. And no, him and his man. Like, I'm like, oh my God, they're adorable. And he goes, no, really, you're a really beautiful person. He goes, every time I see you, I just feel like, okay, fine. Life's going to be okay. Life's going to be great. And I was like, oh, that's cute. My heart. Oh my God, I love that. Say it again. And so I'm like, I make people feel safe. And I can name a whole list as to why. I know why I make myself feel safe. But like the fact that someone's willing to like tell me that and I can feel it and it's true. I'm like, oh, I can't hide. Oh, that'd be unfair. That'd be unfair. I make too much beautiful change in the world. And I feel that all of us make really too much beautiful change in the world. So it's like, you got to kind of get out there. And what I do that helps me the most is I ask for help from myself, my higher self, my ancestors, and my spirit guides. I ask for help all day. Ancestors, I'm walking into this grocery store and I just feel nervous right now. I just feel nervous. I feel so scared. And I don't know. I don't know. I still have there's a piece of me that myself now, it's not now. I used to have a strong fear of Black people. And I know that I'm Black, but Black people hurt me the most. And it was because of my family. It wasn't black people. Let me rephrase that. Ooh, girl, get yourself. It wasn't black people that hurt me the most. It was my family that hurt me the most. And obviously, my family's black. One side's Garifuna, the other side is American. And so, going through the pain that I went through as a kid, I had this fear of like, I don't want to be around anyone who is as honest as I know black people to be. Because I was like, I don't need anyone judging my skin, judging my body, judging any of those things. And so now I realize that my biggest supporters right now are black people. So I'm like, oh, and it's women at that. So I'm like, oh, I'm safe. And then it's the queer folks too. So I'm like, oh, I am safe. I'm like, ooh, I thought y'all were going to eat me up. Woo! I thought y'all were going to roast me to smithereens and want to give me all the butters and all the everything. And I was going to curse y'all out. Because I was like, girl, leave me alone. I swear to God, I've already done a lot of the healing. Like, this is emotional and it's going to happen on its own. Just accept me as I am, please and thanks. We'll have a good time. And so I'm just continuing to take a chance every day. Whenever I feel scared, I just say, higher self, ancestors, spirit guides, I need help with this. Help me right now. I'm going through this emotion and I don't like it. And if I'm feeling something too much energetically, I go to my creator. Creator, babe, I have to go to the source on this one. Look, I'm feeling this emotion. It's very uncomfortable. I need help transmuting it. You told me to give you my worries and my problems and shit. You got me down here. I know that I don't really exist. I'm a figment of an imagination. I am an idea that is just manifest. Do something about this because ouch, 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 ouch. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'm very honest. And literally within moments, sensations would dissipate because I have faith and I trust and I have a relationship with the most fullest part of me. And so my cells respond. And in that moment, I'm soothed. So,
I have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts. First and foremost, as you were speaking, I do feel safe. Like, I love what you bring because what I'm realizing as you're speaking is what drew me to you is the authenticity. Like, you don't show up and try to tell people what they should be doing. You don't show up as a expert as to what other people should be doing. You don't show up as like, I am all knowing and I'm going to you really are a human having a human experience and sharing that experience with all of us. You know what I mean? Like, so it feels so it just feels so connected because there is no ego in it. Like, there's no ego. Like, it really feels like a genuine connection. Like,
Shane,
I'm
that's a
so
compliment.
grateful. Yeah, I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity. I think I'm going to get out the hospital. And I
I'm
hope
excited for you.
listeners, that you also get yourself out of the hospital. Because I would imagine that if you are following this podcast, if you are following my content, you've already done some work. You've already, like, if this resonates with you, then you're already aware probably that you have wings too. And so maybe you're at a space where like you don't know what to do with the wings. You're considering going back into the cocoon with the wing. Like, you can't unwing yourself. So now we have no choice but to learn how to fly. And what I feel in my soul as you speak, Mrs. Honeybee, is that you have some guidance on how to fly. Like, you have some experience with the wings that I don't have yet. And so, and because you're able to speak authentically to how you grew the wings, how you went to the dark spaces, how you, like, that is what helps me feel safe enough to show up and say, oh my God, like, I'm struggling also. Because I do feel like there's something about defining yourself as a healer that also has some, if your ego is too entwined in it, also comes with this pressure of you're supposed to know more than everybody else. And the truth is, I just know what I know.
Amen. That part. That part. That part. That part. Oh my God. You mentioned that I know how to fly and I know how to teach and enlighten folks on how to fly. And with my practice in particular, it's very curated to the specific consciousness that I am tending to in that exact moment. So it's really one person I'm talking to. So I'll talk to that collective as an entity and I'll speak about it as if it's an entity. So I'm speaking to, in my mind, one person, one thing, one energy. And I'm excited because you actually just gave me my next book, which is How I Fly. And just sharing how I fly.
Am
and
I
I'm
a part
excited.
of your next book?
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. I'm thrilled.
Oh.
It'll be a minute because I'm still working on some other things right now, and I can't overwhelm myself. But this is what happens in life: is I get ideas, and I'm like, oh, I'll do that maybe next year. Okay, that's great. But how we fly, how we fly, which is why I created even the shadow work assistance for the savage. I'm a savage, so I'm talking to savages. And a savage to me is just someone who's willing to show up light and shadow regardless of the perceptions or limitations that others may see or place upon us. And so just showing up, just complete regardless of anything else. And I love the word savages because I feel like it's kind of triggering, and it's like, oh, I don't want to be called a savage. Like, white people used to call black people savages. I know, I like that shit. Why? Because call me today. Call me today and watch me body it. Watch me body it. Ooh, I'm gonna eat it up. Make it good. I'm gonna fuck your shit up to where your insults don't insult like they used to insult. And now you ain't got nothing left. And now all you can do is just rebel in all of my amazingness I live. And so
Yes.
you're
Yes.
ready to fly. You know how, listen to you. I'm excited
Yes.
for how
But
you fly.
I love that message because again, and we're gonna get to closing out, I promise. I know this is a long episode, but I want to tie it back again to the beginning because I remember for those of you who are still not fully sold on the different methodologies of healing, right? Because I'm over here like, how much do Miss Honeybee charge? Because I'm about to make an appointment. But let me say this to circle it back. When I was with my therapist, because for whatever reason, some of us have a better I don't know, connection to Western medicine and therapy. So when I was with my PhD therapist, for those of you who connect with that, I remember I would be doing EMDR, and some sessions I would go in there and I would say to her, listen, I don't have the capacity or energy for this. Can't you just take that out my brain? Like, just like do your little EMDR magic and get it out my brain so I don't have to figure that out. Like, I don't want to. And she would say, I cannot do that, Monica. Like, all I can do is give you the tools for you to figure out how you can take flight. Like, that's all I can do is to give you, like, to help you reflect back. Like, everything you need is already in within you, right? So I want to try to expedite it. Like, I'm making that connection to say this work of healing, whatever you want to title it and call it or whatever, like it is all the same process. It is all the same work. It is all the same. And one thing, listeners, that I do want to make sure I point out is that when you are looking for somebody to support you on your healing journey, be it a therapist, a coach, a healer, whatever modality you want to gravitate towards, you want to look for a person who says, like Mrs. Honeybee just said, I'm not going to give you the answers. I'm not going to be able to give you advice. I'm not going to be able to, all I'm going to do is help you pull out what it is that is blocking you from getting to your own downloads. Like, that's what this is. Like, this is like, yeah. So, and that's any good practitioner, I don't care what their title is, that is what they're doing. If you have a therapist who you're going to and you're getting advice once a week, you are going to be dependent on that therapist for the rest of your life because you're always going to need to go get more advice on, and that's how somebody can keep you trapped. So to hear a practitioner, a healer say, I get done in 4 sessions, that is a person who is not committed to exploiting your trauma, but a person who wants to really help you heal. Because a true healer understands that when we heal ourselves, we unlock a code for the next person, the next generation, the next person. Like, we are collectively healing the world. That's what a healer, somebody who really believes in the power of healing, that's what their goal, that's what their mission is. They're not trying to just drain you of your bank account and have you come in every week to get advice on how to do whatever it is that you already, like, let's help you figure out how to get your answers yourself. I'm in love. I'm in love. I'm in love. Like, and I knew when I reached out, there was going to be like a connection. So I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I want to give you space to let listeners know how to connect with you, let them know of any upcoming projects you have that you might want to, invite them to participate in. What is next for you on the journey?
I just actually finished a vending opportunity for Stroll the Boulevard here in San Diego, and I believe there's another one coming up in June. And so I will be a part of that one. Outside of that, what's coming up next, we will see. I have not planned.
What's the event in San Diego? Can you elaborate a little bit? I have people in San Diego. I'm interested.
Oh yay! Stroll the Boulevard is a El Cajon Boulevard is a street here in San Diego, and it's just it's a collection of businesses that are on that street. But there's also a lot of businesses that are in San Diego, and so there's a lot of different discounts that you can get. You can meet up with a lot of different vendors, a lot of different creatives and artists that are just on El Cajon Boulevard in between, like I think Idaho and State Street or something like that. But it's like it's like 10 blocks or something like that worth of businesses that are giving discounts. And then we are also on the street selling our products, and I'm there doing readings in person. And selling my products as well. And so like my aura cleansing spray, I'll do like my attraction oils. I have like my shadow workbooks and things out. So like, it's like, I'm just going to be adding, I guess, more product on for the next one. But that's what this is. It's an opportunity for us to do our inside work outside. And I don't have a brick and mortar right at the moment. So I'm able to go and vend on the streets, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So that's what's
Okay.
like coming up. I'm looking forward to also doing a lot more farmers markets, hopefully. I want to bring healing outside. I did a lot of my healing outside. And I feel that the importance of that is a lot of times I used to call myself a hood shaman, and that was because as opposed to being someone who is doing shamanism in the forest somewhere, where there is a lot of nature, I instead do mine in the city. I started in New York City. And so I'm doing healing in Ross. I'm doing healing in Marshall's. I'm doing healing in the grocery store. If I see you and you need it in the moment, like I'm like, oh babe, I don't give a fuck about these people. Like, let's do it right now. Like, you cool? Like, turn around. Let me work on your energy. Da 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 da. And like, I'm cool with anybody looking at me because like I do TikTok live. So sometimes there's 10,000 people that done flew in and out of that room in that one 6-hour, 7-hour session. And so I'm very comfortable with people watching me do what I do. And I'm very comfortable with myself. So I'm like, if you need the healing and we're here, like, I'm a butterfly. So like, you might not ever see me again. This might be the only time you ever see me. So I mean, take advantage of the moment while we're here. If you want to pay me, pay me. If not, whatever. Like, I'm not really stressed or pressed. Like, let's get the job done. I'd rather live in a world where we're feeling good. That's my payment sometimes, like obviously if you have the money and we're there, boom. But if God asks me to help you out, like I'm just going to do what I'm being instructed to do. I don't really care about that. I'll be taken care of somewhere along this journey. And so if anyone wants to connect with me, you can go to my website, igottime.com. It's EYEGOTTHYME.com. I like the first, got, and then time like the herb, .com. And then that's also my name on all social medias as well, which are TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And then I also have a Patreon. Patreon is where I post my in-depth content, my journal prompts for the collective that's there. And also I do astrological insights as well for every zodiac sign. And then I do like a follow-up as well. So we dive deeper and have the extended content. So I'm able to post like 40-minute videos, 60-minute videos. And then we do like quantum healing sessions where we do a collective energy deep dive as well. So I see like what the collective may need, and I'll channel frequencies. I'll channel healing. I will work on the energy of the collective that's present as well. And what that typically feels like is you're going through things. It's a moon cycle, it's an eclipse, it's whatever is going on. And by watching that video, you're receiving frequency. It's like Reiki, but it's not attuned to the earth. It's attuned to creation, I'll say. Energy.
Yeah.
And I will go ahead and channel that energy through. So I'll work on your energy body from the screen. And I don't necessarily need to be looking at you. I don't need to have you here. If you're meant to receive the content, you'll be watching the video and it'll just work. So to someone who's not familiar with this, they may say like, you may be questioning, well, how can you heal me if I'm not with you? I'm delivering frequency. yourself is matching the frequency that is being present. So I create a container of healing. You're listening to this and you're accepting it and receiving it. Your cells are then matching the vibration of what's there because you're choosing to raise your vibration. So if you're oscillating at a slow speed, if you're moving slowly, basically by the time you get to me and I'm delivering this frequency, you are speeding up and moving and shifting in your body. So you'll feel sensations that will prepare you to be in alignment and to match what this energy is, which provides the healing. See?
Don't stop. I'm just having to relocate a little bit. But
is there anything else that I need to share? Oh yeah, if you want my books are on my website as well. If you, yeah, I feel like that's it. I am open as well to working with people privately. So I do travel. So if you're wanting, I feel like there are groups, like friend groups or groups of people that want to work together. I'm able to travel and do group situations. So I've had people reach out to me before, be like, hey, like I have a group of friends of 5, of 6, can you come and do something for us for the weekend? We'll pay for your hotel, we'll pay for this, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is what I require. And then, yeah, we'll do something. So I've had like a married couple fly me out once, or they flew to me when I was living in Miami and we did a session together, which they still talk about to this day. So that's still really cool. But yeah, so I do couple related things. I do individual related things. I do group related situations. Yeah, I'm really open to just using my gifts however it is that I'm able to. On my website, you'll find a contact form and it'll show you either we can do, a psychic tarot reading, a channeling session, or we could do a shamanic session, a quantum healing session, or you could hire me to be a keynote speaker for one of your events, or you could choose other and say, hey, this is what I'm about. This is what I got going on. This is how I want to connect with you. What can we do? What can we talk about? Because all you got to do is ask and then, I'll just let you know what I'm aligned with.
Mrs. Honeybee, have you done a reading like live? I am thinking that I would like a reading. I have never done a formal reading. I've just never been drawn to or called. Like the way I work in the world is like I need to have that to me would probably be a very intimate thing. I mean, on the level of like being sexual, like it's an intimate space to me. So
Yeah.
I've never really like in order for me to have intimacy, I have to have connection first, right? So I've never been on a journey with somebody where I connected with them in a way that I felt safe to where I would want them to do a reading. I've known people who have that gift, but I have not felt connected or called to that. So I'm interested, and I'm also curious, I guess, if that is something, and I'll have to think about this for myself even as I'm asking it to you, that I would want to do in an episode, like allow you to do a reading on me and for people to be able to observe that so they could see what that's like. Have you done that before?
I do, yeah. Actually on TikTok Live, I do readings right on the spot. Some people will come up on camera and I'll work with them right there on the camera. On Instagram Live, I've done it as well. And then those are the places where I've done them. Oh, and then also on YouTube, I'll do them live, but people are normally in the comments, but they are responding in the comments and we are having the session right then and there. Majority of my readings happen live. And then I do have my private readings that happen on Zoom. However, if you wanted me like on your show and we did a live reading here, boom, we could do it. I love doing readings live.
I think I would like to have you come back
Yeah.
and do a reading.
That'd be fun.
I think it would be too. I'm nervous, but I think it would be too.
That's so honestly, if you weren't nervous, I'd be like, oh my God, tell me more. Why aren't you nervous? I want to know. If I didn't know me, I'd be nervous to meet me. Like to meet me, me is like Honeybee is me. To meet Honey, like I'm super duper sweet. I'm ushy gushy and I'm very soft and I cry about everything. And I'm just like a really gentle, sweet soul. But like when I show up as Mrs. Honeybee of the highest, it's a whole different ballgame. So like she's somebody who I am like, oh shit, hold on, let me pull up. But she's like, that energy is so loving. That version of me that's in a session is so nurturing. I am like the sea. My friend says, he's like, honey, your energy is like the waves. Like I can't help but to be drawn in. And at that moment, like, I don't know if I ever want to leave. And so,
I agree. I'm not nervous about you and how you show up. I'm nervous about how I will show up. So like that will always be, you know what I mean? Like, so But I'm definitely interested, and I think we should make that happen. I think that would be edifying for listeners, especially those who
Okay.
haven't experienced that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
hopeful that you're not a butterfly that flutters away in my existence. Like I don't have to talk to you all day every day or anything like that, but I would love to like stay connected. And it's and I could just sit in your presence like in silence like we did earlier when we thought the thing died. Like I don't even need you to talk. Like I just want to be in your energy and your light. 'Cause your light is beautiful. It really is.
Ashay.
It really is.
I'm
So
grateful for
thank
your
you.
appreciation.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the First Mind podcast. And yeah, I hope to see you again.
All right. Until our next vibe, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so very much.
Yes, you take care of yourself.
Thank you. You as well.
All right.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.